welcome back to the deep dive. So you've handed us a really fascinating stack of material, a whole collection of business and general English language learning sources.
That's right.
And we're not here to just give you a lesson. We're here to do a proper deep dive, turning those rules and, those vocab lists into actual actionable business intelligence.
Exactly. Our mission for you, the learner, is pretty straightforward, but I think very powerful. We're synthesizing all this material into a guide on communication, on etiquette, and this is the big one, on how to build your career narratives.
Right.
We're taking these often dry linguistic rules and showing you exactly where they become a real business advantage.
And we'll be connecting the dots between things that seem simple, like where to put an adjective, and how that tiny detail actually impacts your authority. We've got case studies like the CEO who started in the mailroom, and we'll pull out those linguistic shortcuts you need to sound fast, natural, clear.
This is where grammar genuinely becomes a career superpower.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So let's jump straight into the business landscape. The people, the companies. Our sources get really specific about roles, which is, foundational. You've got Jill, a design assistant, Mr. Singh, an accountant.
Yeah, and he's been at Spandone & Co. for 14 years. That detail matters. But the real insight, I think, comes from how we describe these people.
Yes. Descriptions are everything. They define the culture, the expectations.
And we got a great sample from the profile notes on Scarlet Fashion Design. Take Sam Riley. He's described as highly motivated and ambitious. I mean, those are the gold standard words you want to hear.
But the sources don't sugarcoat it, which I love. They also mention that Sam admits he can be impatient.
Right, impatient with people he thinks are lazy or impolite. And that one detail gives you this crucial window into the company's internal dynamics.
It tells you what they value. And then there's Alec Novozic. He's described as bright and intelligent, but also sometimes a little nervous.
But the key thing they add is that he is definitely not boring, which tells us that a professional assessment isn't just a list of strengths, it's the whole person, vulnerabilities, and all.
So this brings us right back to the mechanics of the language. We're constantly describing people. How does the English structure itself affect the tone when I'm, say, giving feedback?
Well, what's so fascinating is that the basic rule of adjectives directly impacts how professional you sound. You really just need to know two things.
Okay.
Either the adjective comes before the noun, you talk about a great team, or it comes after verbs like to be, seem, or look.
So you'd say John is really lazy.
Exactly. Or Jill seems busy. Mastering that simple structure is, well, it's the foundation for giving any kind of nuanced professional praise or critique. It sounds basic, but getting it wrong just sounds off.
That makes perfect sense. So moving from the team to the entire organization, we have this incredible story of Sadine Nalik, the mailroom to boardroom lesson.
It's such a great case study because Nalik had the formal training, right? His father insisted he get an engineering degree.
But that wasn't enough for his dad.
No, not even close. He didn't just let him walk onto the executive floor. Nalik had to get his hands dirty.
He started in the mailroom.
Yeah.
Then he did time in the kitchen, then HR, then as a personal assistant, all before becoming CEO 5 years ago.
And it's a tradition. His daughter, Myra, just started in the mailroom 2 months ago.
Wow.
And the lesson Nalik learned from that whole tour was fundamentally respect. He respected every single employee because he'd actually done their job.
And he understood that every part of the company, from the kitchen to HR, had to work well for the whole thing to succeed. That's a huge strategic insight hidden in a personal story.
It is.
So if Nalek understood the whole operation, he must have known how vital, clear, efficient communication is. Which leads us right into the mechanics of tone and speed. How do we get that natural, fast-sounding English at work?
We have to get past the textbook.
Yeah.
We need to use the linguistic shortcuts that everyone uses in spoken English. The materials really emphasize using contracted negatives.
Okay, so that's the difference between sounding like you're reading from a manual versus sounding like a colleague.
Precisely.
So instead of the very formal, the printer does not work.
You just say the printer doesn't work, it's immediate, it's natural, or I'm not French instead of I am not French. Using contractions instantly makes you sound more fluent and builds rapport.
Right. And for asking questions, it's that simple swap with the verb to be. The statement, this is where I can pay, just becomes,
is this where I can pay? A clean, immediate swap. And for anything more complex, you use your question words. How, why, where?
how do I connect the keyboard?
Yep. The ability to ask for instructions clearly and quickly is just It's critical, especially when you're new or there's a problem.
Now let's talk about a more high-stakes scenario, navigating conflict.
Uh-huh.
You can't avoid interrupting or disagreeing forever.
No, you can't. But you have to do it politely. And this is where specific phrases become like professional bumpers. You need them ready to go.
So if you have to jump into a conversation,
You use a softener. Sorry to interrupt, or excuse me, but could I just clarify that? You're signaling that you respect the conversation.
and when you disagree, the sources make this really smart distinction between two levels of it. There's weak disagreement.
Right, where you use softeners again. You could be right, but... Or, I see your point, but I have a different interpretation. You're maintaining harmony while still offering another view.
But what if it's a big deal? What if you really have to stand your ground?
Then you need the language of strong disagreement. You have to be direct, but still professional.
So something like, I'm afraid I totally disagree with that.
Exactly, or I'm sorry, but I don't agree at all. Knowing when to use which phrase allows you to be assertive without, causing chaos.
And that kind of clarity is also crucial for structuring a presentation. I mean, if you don't use signposting language, you're just making your audience work way too hard.
You are. You're forcing them to guess where you're going. Signposting language is like giving them a roadmap.
So to introduce a topic, you set the stage. I'll start by, or I'd like to begin by.
And then when you're ready to switch gears, you announce it. Let's move on to look at, or moving on now to, it keeps everyone with you.
And finally, you have to signal the end. That's all I have to say about the budget. Or lastly, I will answer any questions. These transitions make the whole thing feel logical and effortless for the listener. Okay, let's shift to what might be the most high-value section for anyone listening. Building your career narrative. And that starts with the resume.
It does. And this is where vague language just dies. You need dynamic, powerful action verbs.
You swap I was responsible for with something that shows concrete impact.
Yes. Don't say you did things. Say you managed a team, you collaborated on a project, you established a new office, or even better, you negotiated with suppliers and cut costs by 15%.
That's the key. The quantifiable result.
And the moment you start talking about the past, you're using the past simple. You just can't escape those irregular verbs. You have to know them cold.
Especially for an interview.
Oh, absolutely. Think about them. Becomes was, were, have becomes had, meet becomes met, leave becomes left. If you say, I spend 3 years there, instead of I spent 3 years there.
It's an instant loss of authority.
It really is.
Let's connect that to how we talk about business trends. The Cake and Crumb case study is perfect for this. Ahmed Hassan founded it in 2003, selling cakes online.
Right. And to describe that growth, you need precise vocabulary. In the first year, sales, they remained steady. That's a neutral, stable term.
But then in 2005, things took off. Sales increased, and they opened their first store.
And using verbs like increased or rose, the past tense of rise, that's what elevates your report. It's not sales went up a lot. It's objective, professional language.
And if they went down, you'd use fell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you could say things stabilized after a big change. That precision is what makes your analysis trustworthy.
Okay, so once you're in the company, you start hearing the professional shorthand, the idioms.
Yes, and understanding these is the fastest way to figure out what's really going on without having to ask awkward questions. They're a sign of fluency.
Totally. If a company's in financial trouble, you'll hear that they're in the red.
Which just means they owe money. It's so much faster than explaining the balance sheet. And if a colleague is really busy,
They won't just say, I'm busy. They'll say they're snowed under or swamped or maybe just tied up in a meeting.
it's vivid metaphorical language that communicates stress or unavailability instantly.
I can relate to the equipment failure ones. A machine can be out of order, or if it's acting really weirdly, it's going haywire.
I love that one. And for teamwork, if someone isn't doing their share, the complaint is that they're not pulling their weight.
And if you need a new idea, the boss tells you to think outside the box.
And to start a project, you need to get the ball rolling. You have to know these phrases to keep up.
Definitely. Let's wrap up with some essential global etiquette and logistics, starting with something simple but so important, talking about origin.
Yes, this comes up all the time with manufacturing, imports, global teams, and the preposition is key. You use from plus the country. So our new parts are from Japan.
But if you use the adjective, you drop the from.
Right, then it's just our new parts are Japanese. It seems small, but mixing that up can be really confusing. And don't forget, countries, nationalities, languages, they all start with a capital letter.
Such a small rule, but it signals real care and professionalism in an email.
It really does. Now, here's a rule that seems academic but is a huge signal of fluency. The fixed order of adjectives.
Ah, yes. It's one of those things native speakers follow without even knowing it exists.
They do. The sequence is opinion, size, age, color, material, then the noun. So if I say a little nice restaurant, it just sounds strange to you, right?
It sounds...
Plunky.
Yeah, because your ear is tuned to the correct order. Ah, nice little restaurant. Nice is the opinion, little is the size. If you get that order right, you sound incredibly fluent. It shows you've mastered the deep structure of the language. That's a great example of a rule becoming a superpower. Okay, next up, conditional language. This is the framework for all business planning and negotiation.
It really is. The sources highlight two essential types. First, the zero conditional. This is for general truths or direct results, things that always happen.
So, if you book online, flights are often cheaper. It's a rule.
Exactly. Present tense in both parts of the sentence. We use it for standard procedures. But then you have the real planning tool, the first conditional.
This one's about future possibilities and their likely results.
Right. This is for your proposals, your negotiations. The structure is if plus the present simple, then the future with will for the result. If you buy a return flight, you will save money.
Or, more strategically, if we approve this budget, we will meet our Q3 deadline. It is literally the language of forecasting.
It is.
So to bring this whole communication toolkit to a close, let's touch on formal phone calls. The language there is all about politeness and efficiency.
It's very structured. You need those set phrases. Thank you for calling RD Systems. Or, could I speak to Rob Martin, please?
And if you're the one answering, you need the polite gatekeeper phrase. May I ask who's calling?
And you cannot survive without the phrasal verbs. They're tricky because they aren't literal. You need to know hang up, call back, put through, which means connect.
Get cut off when the line breaks.
And of course, pick up the phone. If a call drops, you don't say the connection broke. You say, I think we got cut off. Could you call me back? It's the functional vocabulary of business logistics.
Wow, we have covered a tremendous amount of ground today. I mean, we've used the basic structure of communication to map out entire career narratives, analyze business trends, and navigate all these professional interactions.
From office idioms all the way to formal client calls.
Exactly.
And what's really fascinating to me is that the most effective communication, it isn't just about knowing more words, it's about understanding the hidden structures, you know?
The adjective order.
The adjective order, the conditional phrasing, even when to use contractions. All those little things together are what give you authority and clarity.
It really is mastery of the entire professional system. You know, Sadim Nalik's father made him learn the company top to bottom, starting in the mailroom. So we want to leave you with this final thought. How can you apply that same top to bottom approach to your own use of English? Not just mastering the vocabulary, that's the front office, but truly understanding the deep grammar and the rhetorical structures. That's the mailroom and the kitchen.
That's where you find true fluency
Yeah.
and career control.